I'm Janet Dowling, and this is the story of Mary Culcaine and the demon. Now, Jack Culcaine had had a very good day in the market, and he had an even better time in the tavern afterwards. And as he bade farewell to his mates, he began the walk back to his own village, with the money still in his pocket. He had a fair bit left. But it's a long walk, and the moon was full out, and everything was bright and clear around him, and he came down towards his village, and there was the graveyard on the right-hand side. He's going to have to walk all the way around, and he's feeling a bit tired and just a little bit... it's so bright with that moon. He reckoned he could just nip across the graveyard. So he used his stick to clamber over the wall, get to the other side. He knew he just had to go straight across, that's all. And so he started to walk. Clear as day, with the moon shining. Oh, that's a grave. I didn't see that this morning. Is it newly dug? Oh. And he looked into the grave and could hear, "Help me! Help me!" He had no idea what was down there, but he dropped his stick and he ran all the way over to the other side of the wall and out over the wall and then down the village and down to his door and pushed open the door and slammed the door behind him. And his daughter, Mary Culcaine, "Father, are you all right? Where's your walking stick?" "Graveyard," he said. "Graveyard." "Oh, you've left it in the graveyard. You shouldn't cut across, not even at this time of night. Come on, come and sit down. Here's a drink. I'll go and get you a stick." "Mary!" But Mary's so kind she is. And she's out the door, down the road to the graveyard. And she can see where her father's clambered over the wall. And she can see, there's his walking stick. And so she clambers over the wall back again, and she walks up to where the walking stick is, and she bends down to pick it up, and then she does. There's the grave. Wasn't there this morning. And as she's standing there, she can hear, "Help me, help me," being the kind-hearted girl that she is. I'm just putting my dad's stick down. Can you grab hold of it and pull yourself up?" And she felt something grab hold of the other end, and then she could feel as something was making its way up. "Are you all right? Are you all right?" She couldn't see. And then there was a sort of dark shadow coming out. "Are you okay?" And then she felt something on her hand. And it was claws going up her arm. No. She tried to shake it off, but she couldn't move. And as it sat on her shoulder, she could not move at all. She was standing there as a statue. "Oh, this is a good one," said the beast on her shoulder, the demon. "This is a good one indeed. Come, we need to feed." And Mary, unable to move any part of her body herself other than to breathe, found herself walking across the graveyard. And she tried to fight, she tried to stop, she tried to do anything, but there was nothing she could do. She was totally out of control, all under the control of that demon on her shoulder. And the tighter it dug its claws into her, the greater the pain. To the wall, over the wall, into the middle of the road, and stopped. Yes, I smell the blood I need. And Mary found herself turning towards the houses, the ones that she'd just run past. And they stopped at the first house, and she found herself walking up to the door. He sniffed. "No, not this one. Shh. And he turned away to the next house and sniffed again. No, not this one. And then to her own house. Not this one. And then down the road to the next house, the house where the widow woman lived with her 3 sons. And he stopped outside and he sniffed. No holy water. Fresh blood. And Mary found her hand going up to open that door. And she walked into that kitchen. A bowl of oatmeal. Get me a bowl of oatmeal. And she had no control. And she found the oatmeal. And she found the bowl. And she poured it in and she mixed it with water. She had no idea what she was doing. She had no way of fighting back. Every muscle, everything in her, she was trying to fight, but it would not work. And then, he turned her and she went towards the door. And behind the door, she knew that's where the 3 sons, little boys, slept. Maybe dreaming of their father, but never dreaming of the demon that was coming towards them on her shoulder. The door was open, and there they were, sleeping. And the demon forced Mary to sit down on the bed nearest the first one. And then the demon took his claw and brought it under the neck of the first child. And as the blood seeped, a tear, a single tear, came from that child's eye. Catch the tear, catch the tear. And Mary held the bowl, and the tear rolled down onto that oatmeal. And she watched as the pink flush of the child turned blue, then white. And the demon on her shoulder drank his fill of blood. And to the second child, he took her again. And again with that claw, just cut the throat. Catch the tear. And she had no choice but to catch the tear onto that oatmeal. And the demon on her shoulder drained the blood. And the third, that claw across the neck. Catch the tear. Mary, she did not want to do this, but she had no choice. And then she stood up, and the demon took her out into the other room. Now stir. And she stirred the oatmeal. And now take a handful. And her hand came up to take some of the oatmeal. And she fought it, tried not to bring it to her lips, where the claw went down from the demon, and he began to take his fill of the oatmeal with those tears, those last tears of those children. This is their soul in these tears, and once I eat this, they will belong to me in the other world. Eat it, girl. But in the moment that the demon took the oatmeal into his mouth, his joy, his ecstasy, just in that moment he released his hold on Mary, and she slipped the oatmeal in her fingers to inside her blouse. See how good it is. And when the demon had finished his full of the oatmeal, she was taken again, solid. She could not move under her own volition, but she was taken out through the door, out, up the hill, out, outside the village, and then to the field that was full of rocks, the one that could nothing, no, nobody wanted. It was abandoned almost. And it took her across the field, and she tried hard to fight it, but she couldn't. And then they came to a rock, and the moon was shining full down on it. And he raised her arm up, 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 and then 1, 2, 3 onto the rock. And the rock just rolled back. And in front of her, there was a box. And the claw reached down and opened the box. 1, 2, 3 gold coins. It was full of gold coins. 17, 18. It was more gold than she'd ever seen again in her life. 34, 35. Goo-goo-goo! What's that? What's that? Just for a second, she could say, it was the wind. It was the wind. 78, 79. He counted. 100. All there. Good. And he closed the box. Then he raised a hand again. 1, 2, 3. And the rock rolled back. You have been very good. I think, young lady, you will come with me back down into hell. And he turned and he walked her back through the village. And she tried to cry out, she tried to call, she tried to scream, she tried to do anything to attract attention, but there was nothing that she could do. And as they got back to that wall, and as she clambered over it, there was nothing. What's that? What's that? It's sheep. It's sheep. It's sheep in the next field. Come, Mary, girl, I will have you. Take me to the grave. Let me down first, and then you come down with me. Mary did not want to do that. They got to the grave, and as they got there, the monster, the demon, the devil, began to crawl down her arm again. There's a stick. Take the stick. Hold it in your hand. Let me go down. And he grabbed hold of her hand and started to pull her down. Tried to pull her down. And somehow, Mary, she got the resolution. Mary, she got the strength. Somehow she just held back. No. And he pulled her, and she found herself beginning to lean forward, and she knew she was going to topple into that grave at any moment, and she will be down in hell with this demon. And with that, the cock cried for the 3rd time, and behind Mary, the sun rose up, and its beams cut across her shoulder and on to that demon. And that demon blistered and burned and then shriveled up, and Mary was able to shake it off. And then she turned. She picked up her father's stick again, and she walked to the side of the graveyard, over the wall, back to the house. She opened the door, And there was her father, fast asleep, snoring in the chair. And she went to her own bed and slept. Mary, 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 wake up, wake up. Something dreadful's happened. The widow woman, her 3 sons have died. Mary woke up. It was true. Everything that happened the last night was true. And she went down with her mother to stand outside the widow woman's house. And the woman, and the whole community was wailing with her. And then suddenly, Mary felt, maybe I could do something. Please, she said, let me try to help. Oh, Mary, is there anything you can do? I'll give anything you want. Please, please. And so Mary went in, and she scooped up that piece of oatmeal from out of her blouse and put it into a bowl again and added some holy water. And then took it into the children. Blue, white in their beds. And she took some of the oatmeal and then just rubbed it on their lips. And the first one, his eyes were wide open. He was breathing. Colour was coming back into his skin. She did it to the second one. And the same, and the third one. They are back. They are back. They live. Oh, my Mary, it's a miracle. It's wondrous. How on earth did you manage to do that? Oh, said Mary, I'm just so pleased it worked. Please, please, said the woman, is there anything I can give you? Thank you for giving me back my sons. Mary said, you own that field, don't you? The one that's just outside. The one with all the stones in it. Oh, that, nobody can do anything with that field. Maybe, perhaps, if you give it to me. Oh, please, have it. I'm just so pleased. A month later, under the full moon, Mary and her father, Jack Culcaine, sober this time, walked up the road outside of the village, walked up to where there was that field with those stones in it. And they walked across to the big stone. And then Mary raised her hand and went 1, 2, 3. And with that, the rock rolled back, and there was a box of gold. And she bent down, and she and her father between them managed to drag it out. Then 1, 2, 3, rolled back the rock. And then, well, I have to say, they did it in several trips. And they took the gold back to their house. Well, they could have done lots of things with that money. And they did, true to be said, have some of the money for themselves. But Mary, she's a kind-hearted girl. And she knew that if ever any child again became ill, the hospital was a long, long way away. And so they established a building to be a hospital. And do you know, that building is still standing. And they do say that if you go to that part of Ireland, you can stay there because it's now a hotel. But it was funded from all those years ago when Mary Culcaine beat the demon.